So welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on GenAI to improve employee self-service capabilities on digital workplace. So joining us today, Des and I, is Carl-Anders Falk, our lead product manager for DWP. Before we get started, just a couple of reminders, a legal notice first of all, because we are covering bits on our roadmap. If you can just take a quick brief look at this, while you do so, just a reminder for those that are new on the Q&A, you have this at the bottom section of Zoom. If you have any questions during the presentation and also the demo, please put them in there. We will have around 15 or so minutes at the end where we'll go to live Q&A as well. So with that, I'm now going to hand over to Des, who's going to just talk about the BMC messaging around HelixGPT, and then we'll hand over to Kaf, who will then talk about his colleagues and show us a bit on GPT. Over to you, Des.
Thanks, Sam. So I think never a truer statement has been mentioned by anyone, right? You know, I feel that in my job today, my job has been changed by AI, right? And you know, every other opportunity in this world is going to change, because it's going to be fundamentally part of what we do in our day-to-day lives, and this is one of the things that Kef is going to talk about as well. So before we get into how AI is going to transform our world, you know, I just want to walk back through about what AI has done in general for us, right? And there's loads of areas and loads of ways that AI is working in our lives day to day, which we probably don't even realize. You know, if you think about, you know, when you travel to work in the mornings using, you know, apps to climb on the train, or your Google Maps in your car to navigate to the office, or simply through, you know, opening up an app to scan your receipts to add your expenses into your platform. AI is in the background doing all that work, right? And it's going to get more and more entrenched, in the sense where, if you look at what Google is doing in self-driving vehicles, where they're understanding petabytes of data to make that work, right? If you think about the humans trying to do that today, it's virtually impossible to scale with that amount of data that needs to be interrogated in real time. You know, we think about doctors and what they're doing, you know, in medical treatments, trying to understand and diagnose patients with medical problems. Adobe is developing new tools for these medical imaging and drug discovery areas, where we're able to already today faster predict where a human has a health problem than a doctor. All they're using the doctors for is the confirmation that's there. Microsoft's spending huge amounts of money in the case of fraud detection and customer service, and even, you know, the likes of ChatGPT, right? They're using these kinds of tools for education and training, right? So it's part of our everyday lives, and part of what we do. And at BMC, there's no different, right? That's part of how we work. If you think about the BMC journey over the past, you know, 10, 15 years, I've been here for 10. Already, you know, it's been something that we've done right through from our predictive analytics within capacity tool sets, all the way through to our cause analytics in our AI tool sets, and right now into our generative AI capabilities that are being applied by HelixGPT. Now, what is HelixGPT and how does it work, right? So HelixGPT it's the next generation of AI for the BMC platform. Like I said, we've got our predictive, we've got our causal, which is our how, and our what is going to happen. But our generative AI is now helping us to tell you how to fix the problem. And what it's doing is it's leveraging the pre-trained models, the GPT-4os, the GPT-4 turbos, the Llama 3s, the Gemini models, which have been pre-trained on terabytes of data to answer questions. Now, at BMC, we don't necessarily need that data to answer questions, because that data is not really relevant to your corporate requirements, right? You want to answer questions about, you know, your local service management, or you want to be able to create service requests on your specific platform. And the pre-trained models don't really have that. So what we do is we take that data, because it's really good at giving us the thousands of ways of asking a question or answering a question. And we overlay your data on top of that, right, through a vector store, which means we store your data, we control your data, and we allow you to then provide the data out to your customers. Okay. Now, there's a few ways of doing this. We're able to ingest data from your service management suites, your knowledge management platforms, your DevOps data, your AI ops data, and store that within the BMC platform. And that is the intelligence that we need on top of the model to then provide those outputs. Okay, so that's the first thing, right? So you can rip and replace the model as you need. As models get cheaper, as models get more advanced, you can put a newer, faster model in, and you won't have to worry about retraining it because the data stays within the BMC platform. The second thing is in the models themselves, we provide you a series of out-of-the-box prompts, right? Prompt engineering is a huge task. It's a big thing that's happening in the industry at the moment. And being able to write the right prompt is important because those instructions are telling your AI how to respond in the correct way. And if you prompt in a slightly different way, you're going to get a slightly different answer, right? So you want to be sure that those prompts are correct. And through our prompting techniques, our prompting that we provide you, we help to provide the guardrails that allow you to control how it responds. You don't want to responding to create a poem about how bad my organization is, because you will have that. In fact, there's been examples in the public where that's happened before. You don't want to do that. So you want to put guardrails around it to say, well, let's control how this bot responds to my my end users, to my customers, through these series of guardrails. And then the last thing that's important is this HelixGPT is not a product itself, right? It's a enabling technology in the platform of BMC's Helix, which enables capabilities within digital workplace, virtual agent, AI ops, ITSM, business workflows, and so on and so forth. So it's starting to enable all of those tools to be generative AI aware. So what this provides for, sorry, 2 minutes slides forward, there we go. What this provides for you is 6 key areas of benefit, I suppose, right? So first thing is AI is really good at aggregating data at scale, right? Really important here, especially in the ITSM side, where I'm looking at tickets either in real time or retrospect, which is telling me where I may have a problem which has occurring in real time, or in retrospect, going all the tickets that have come in, where are my common problems and how were they resolved in this state. That can be then led into my problem management process and get me a few steps forward there. I'm able to summarize information quickly. That is, whether it's in a service management ticket, whether it is in a business workflows ticket, whether it is in a chat or a conversation, or even simple report, right? Being able to summarize a huge amount of data and tell me what are the key points that I need to look into to solve this problem. Potentially, how I can resolve it myself if I'm an end user. Surfacing of information is important, especially you want to know when the information has come in, is it accurate? Is it at the right time? Is it pertinent for me, right? I say this to everyone that I get my call for, right? We all create our own dashboards, our own reports, but that doesn't mean necessarily that it's going to be important forever, right? Often those reports are created and they're forgotten because they're not important at the right time. So what we need to do is be able to surface the right information when the user needs it in the context so that they actually leverage it for what they need. Recommendation of actions is huge. We want to be able to look at historical data. If I got my 100,000 tickets, I've looked at all my problems that are occurring. I've looked at all the resolutions that have occurred within those problems. I can use that information to say, well, next time I see a ticket or a similar problem, this is how it should be solved. We've seen this before. We know this is a common problem. We know this is how it was. This is all the information that was around it. So we recommend the best action to solve it. And these are the 4 steps you should take. The conversational approach is the next big thing, right? I look at the conversational not just as a chatbot. I look at it as the ability to talk to my system in real time, 365 days a year, and ask it information that gives me insights into what I need to do, right? If I can have an AI talking to me with full access to the right information, I don't really need to have a person to do that, have that conversation with. So we can use it, yes, for virtual agent. We can use it, yes, for ticket management. But we can also use it to say, well, tell me what's the best way of solving this problem, and how do you recommend it for me? And then last but not least is creation of content. Generative AI, we all know, is great for creating your content, but this is now taking it to the next level, right? So we talked about finding the problems. We talked about surfacing the right information. We talked about recommending the actions. But the creation of content is how I fix those, how I fix those actions, right? Is it through creating a knowledge article? Is it through creating an automation? Or is it through creating a script to fix that problem? This is where generative AI starts coming into play and actually making a huge difference. We go from the what and the when to the how, and that's very important for us. So moving on, one of the areas where we are spending a huge amount of time is our fleet of AI agents. I like to talk about the army of agents, and the reason I talk about that is because I think of these agents as an augmentation of my persona, right? So if I'm in the service management space, or in the knowledge space, or the reporting space, or the change space, I want to have something, like I said, where I can, like I said earlier, where I can converse with the platform, and the platform can help me to perform actions, take insights, and do something, right? These agents are giving me the ability to actually not only ask it a question, but reason with the platform and take an action on the information that is picked up, right? So, one of the things that CAF is intricately involved in is the employee navigator, but there's so many more where, like for the change risk advisor, I'm able to automatically look at the data that's there, tell me where the risks are with the changes, and tell me which person to go and speak to as part of the risk. So it takes away the guesswork in the platform today. Now, these agents, as always, are going to be connecting to the data sources. So we've got our traditional, Helix knowledge management, revenue knowledge management data sources, but we've also got SharePoint, Confluence, and in the future, Snowflake and Databricks. But last but not least, we want to already bring the interface to a technology that you already own today, right? So working with the likes of Teams, working with the likes of Google to have that interface that customers are already using, customers are already au fait with, and giving them the same user experience, whether they be in Teams, whether they be in Google, or whether they be within the BMC platform itself. All right, so on that, I'm going to hand over to Kev now to walk through a bit of his webinar. He's developed some great content. But Kev, before I hand over to you, I want to ask you a question. While we were preparing for this webinar, did you really feel empowered to use generative AI?
I actually did. The example I posted on LinkedIn, I don't know if you saw it, but when I was planning this webinar, I was asking a few of my colleagues, not you two, because you are always supporting me, but a couple of other guys that were really busy, and I wanted them to be in this webinar, so it's a little bit more lively than just PowerPoints and screenshots and demos. I wanted a more human part in it, and unfortunately they could not, because they were so busy with other things. And then came an idea to my mind: why not use generative AI? So I actually created two colleagues that comment on what I do. They are podcasters. They are called Liz and Tom, and you will see them working with me in this webinar. And that was kind of a very interesting moment, because I realized this is what we mean when we say we have these agents, and they will be a fleet of agents that I have to help me do my job. I have created these two guys. They do not replace my colleagues because they have other things to do. That's not what I'm talking about. They are empowering me to do more. And that is the whole idea of all these agents we are building out now, that you can create your own little staff of people, GenAI people, that help you do things. So I recorded this. It is as live as it can be, and it looks as live as it can be. afterwards, I hope we can get a little bit of feedback from you. If you agree that I'm empowered by doing this, or if you think, no, that's wrong. I also want you to think about, am I ready to take on some of these use cases? Because this is about use cases for employees in a company and how these use cases or these agents can help employees become more productive themselves, and by that making the company more profitable and successful. So if we manage at the end, we might do a little poll. Let's see how that goes. But let's see how this works first. I'll share my screen and start the recording in a few seconds. So this is my screen. So I'll sit back and listen. I'll start with handing over to Tom and Liz and let them start introducing this webinar. Welcome.
Ever feel like, you're stuck spinning your wheels at work, spending way too much time hunting down answers instead of actually getting things done?
Oh, absolutely. I've been there. It's like the workday just slips away while you're waiting for a response to an email or stuck in a chat queue.
Right. Today's deep dive is all about a smarter approach to productivity. We're calling it the knowledge first approach. And we've got some interesting strategies to unpack.
It's all about putting knowledge at the center, making information instantly accessible.
So, okay, picture this. Your head's down on a project, you hit a snag. What's your first instinct?
Usually it's shoot off an email, right? Or maybe jump on a live chat. Or even worse, you got to file a formal request and wait for who knows how long.
And that's a productivity killer right there.
Yeah.
This excerpt we're looking at talks about immediate, relevant answers, guidance, and instructions.
Yeah, see, that's the key. Instead of jumping through hoops, what if the answer was just that there? Easy to find, readily available. That's the idea behind this whole knowledge first thing.
Makes sense. So we're talking about robust knowledge bases, FAQs that are actually helpful, all that good stuff right at your fingertips.
Exactly. Empowering employees to troubleshoot independently, find answers without having to interrupt their flow.
And I imagine that's got to be a huge relief for those fulfillment teams on the other end, right? The ones getting bombarded with those requests.
Oh, absolutely. Think about it. Fewer basic questions coming their way, which frees them up to focus on more complex issues, improves their efficiency, and employees feel more empowered too. Everyone wins.
Now, I did see something here about HelixGPT. What's that all about?
Ah, that's where technology comes in. We're talking about AI-powered tools that can understand your questions and instantly point you to the right information. Like, imagine a super-powered search engine, but for all your company's internal knowledge.
So it's not that those other options, the live chats and requests, completely vanish. Yeah. It's more like they become a last resort.
Right. Exactly. They're still there for when you need them. But with this approach, the first line of defense is always going to be that easily accessible knowledge base.
I love that. It's like giving everyone the tools to become their own little problem solvers.
Precisely. It's about working smarter, not harder.
This has been super insightful when you say it. It makes me wonder, what could we all achieve if we could reclaim all that time spent searching for answers?
It's a future worth striving for, that's for sure.
A future where knowledge is power and efficiency reigns. Food for thought, right?
Thank you very much, Liz and Tom. We'll continue, and I will actually do a little bit of demo of HelixGPT and how it can be used in digital workplace, asking questions instead of
the accessible knowledge base.
I love that. It's like giving everyone the tools to become their own little problem solver.
I'm sorry, asking questions instead of actually doing search. So let's take a look at how that works. So what you see here is a landing page of a typical company that has a number of lines of businesses, and there are some videos with information, and there is a footer and information about requests you have raised, and you can then switch to the different departments or lines of businesses easily and have specific information and specific help related to that. But up here is the main Ask HelixGPT chat bar, and you can ask questions here, and as you can see, it remembers what I have asked before, so I can ask how to file a complaint, and it will go to HelixGPT. HelixGPT will look in the knowledge base, and it will find the answer for me and describe how to do it. If I use normal search, if we go here and use search, you see I can flip over to traditional search. I get a lot of documents, a lot of links, and I can of course open all these and see which one is the correct one, but it's much faster if I use HelixGPT. Another thing is if I'm very often misspelling, so if I do search and misspell, like policy with 2 L's, it will not find anything. And if I go here to chat and do the same thing, policy, I will probably also not find anything, because it is like saying to human policy. Yeah, it did actually find policy, because I had already asked before about this complaint policy. If we take a new topic and we ask policy again, it will have no context, and it will likely not find any information. So as you can see, it remembers what I'm talking about, and it has some language understanding. If I say policy to you, you don't really know what I mean. So if I say, do we have a relocation policy? It will find information and describe what the relocation policy is in clear text and in natural language. So depending on your knowledge base, of course, if you have the information, HelixGPT can easily go out and find the information and then present back an answer to you. If you want to read the full knowledge article behind this, you can of course do that. So if you click here, you see I get a lot more information, but HelixGPT has picked out the important things and given us that information pretty quickly. So I'm not going to demo much more now. Now we'll let Tom and Liz comment on this and give their view on how valuable this is for a company.
Feel like you're searching for a needle in a haystack. You know, trying to find that one crucial piece of info buried somewhere in your company's massive digital library.
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there, right? Especially new hires, just drowning in shared drives and file folders.
Exactly. And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating. We're talking about HelixGPT and whether it can really revolutionize how we access company knowledge.
It's a hot topic for sure. Our listeners specifically asked about moving beyond basic keyword searches to something more intuitive.
Right, more human. So, to kick things off, let's talk about the elephant in the room keyword searches. They can be, well, frustrating to say the least.
Yeah.
You're at the mercy of someone else's filing system and hoping they use the same keywords you would.
And even if you find the right document, who knows how outdated it might be? Policies change, procedures get updated. It's a minefield.
Totally. And that's where HelixGPT comes in, claiming to be a game changer. Instead of relying on keywords, it supposedly uses this thing called natural language processing. So you literally type in your question, like you'd ask a colleague, in plain English.
It's like having a conversation with your company's entire knowledge base. And the key here is that it's not just searching, it's understanding. It uses your company's curated knowledge base, which is constantly being updated and verified through this system called KCS, Knowledge-Centered Service.
Okay, so that's the trust factor. You're not getting some random document from 2015. But what really intrigues me is the potential impact on knowledge sharing within a company.
Huge implications, right? I mean, think about it. New hires, instead of spending weeks or months trying to track down the right people and information, they can get up to speed instantly.
It's almost like having a built-in mentorship network from day one.
Exactly. And it's not just for newbies. Even experienced employees could benefit from quick access to the collective knowledge of the company.
Imagine being able to instantly pull up best practices for a particular client or get a crash course on a new product line. It could be a real productivity booster.
Absolutely. And that begs the question, could tools like HelixGPT fundamentally change how companies approach knowledge management?
Could this be the future of work? It's
Yeah.
something to ponder. Until next time.
Thank you very much, Liz and Tom. For the next part of this webinar, I've asked one of our developers, Praveen, to demo how you can send an email to HelixGPT and it will extract information answering the question that has been sent in the email. Let me hand over directly to you, Praveen.
I am going to send an email to the configured email address, which is already configured in business workflow application for human resource line of business. So my context is like relocation policy, and I would like to know the relocation policy within country. Okay, I'm just sending this kind of information, and based on that, the question gets framed by the GPT based on my email subject and email body. And after processing that email, the case gets created in the system. Let's wait for the case to be created in the system. Okay, you see this case is getting created in the system. The requester will receive an email acknowledgement as well. Okay, you see the requester got a response. You see this response is coming from GPT as per the notification template that Tejaswini showed, right? It framed the response. All this content is from the knowledge article, but GPT has extracted some of the content from knowledge article, massage it, and provide this kind of data, right? And as you see this knowledge article link is available also here. And you have helpful and not helpful, which are the action buttons based on this. Now let's say this case is created. Let me open this case, which is 178. Now, as you observe that the case is created directly in the resolve state with status as auto resolve plus resolution code as auto resolve using HelixGPT, right? And if you look at the case social, you'll see your this is your incoming email, okay? And this is your GPT response. So that agent would get a fair idea what happened to this case and how this case landed into the resolve status. So that agent would come to know this is getting resolved by the GPT response. He can check based on resolution code plus the what information is shared with the requester is also here. Okay. And the rest of the flow is there. Now you see this since this case is resolved by using some kind of knowledge article. So you see this, whatever the knowledge article is referred is gets pinned to this case. And at the same time, you see this categorization is also reflected from this knowledge article only. If you see this knowledge article will have those kind of categorization. So this categorization is coming from this knowledge article on this particular case. Right. So you may wonder like why this article is, you see this article is refers for the United States employees, right? Just because if you see this requester is from the United States country, and that is the reason the correct article is getting picked up by the GPT. And so in order to do that, from the business workflow application, we send the questions along with these location details of the requester, and that is how we understood. Even though he finds multiple knowledge article, if you see, we have multiple knowledge articles with the relocation policy for United Kingdom, Pune, and Mumbai locations, but he understand this requester is from the United States and give the correct response on this. So this is part of the agent's part, but from the requester's point of view, what he can do is like if he's good with this, whatever the information provided by GPT, if he's good or if he needs to know more details about it, I mean, he still can go to this knowledge. He just need to click on this knowledge article. It will open the knowledge article in DWP. This is a DWP link is getting frame so that he can check the other details of the relocation policy. If you see, we have lot many details about this relocation policy for the United States, but GPT gave the massaged response of this, whatever the interested thing he looked like, what is the bonus, if he's okay with this, or what are the household goods relocation details, all this. So that is one part of it, and he can decide now as a requester whether he's happy with this response or if not happy with this response. So let me say not happy, not helpful to show you that how it works. Let me refresh here. If you see, case status is also changed from resolved to in progress, and if you see the whatever the action that helpful, not helpful action is also recorded here. So as soon as the requester says it's not helpful, there are two things happen. One is case gets reopened from resolved to in progress. Another thing is that case get flagged. So that flag cases agent can look after.
Many thanks, Praveen, for this demo. Now let's hear what Tom and Liz has to say about this demo. I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, email. It's been around forever. We all use it constantly, and honestly, it can be a huge time suck, both for us personally and for businesses.
Huge. So we're seeing more and more companies use GenAI to streamline the whole process.
Makes sense.
Like, think about it. Answering employee questions, whether it's, hey, what's the deal with my dental plan? Or even something more complicated like needing IT help. GenAI can, in some cases, handle all that.
That's huge for employee experience. Like I said, it's a pain to have to dig through company portals or wait on hold forever.
The worst. And on the flip side, companies are also using GenAI for customer-facing stuff, like imagine getting an invoice the second you need it, or checking the status of an order without having to like talk to a real person.
It's all about speed and efficiency these days, right? And look, I'm sure we'll get into this more, but there are definitely still situations where you need a human touch.
Oh, for sure. For sure. This isn't about replacing humans entirely.
Yeah.
Not yet, anyway. But yeah, like we found this one company, HelixGPT, they're really leaning into using GenAI for internal stuff. So basically, it's like having a superpowered help desk that never sleeps.
And that's smart, because think about all those repetitive tasks that eat up employees' time. If you can offload those to AI, suddenly those employees can focus on more complex, more important issues.
Totally. And the other thing, going back to the customer side for a sec, I think this is huge EE for things like, say, customer satisfaction. Like if I'm waiting on an invoice so I can get paid, the faster, the better, right?
Absolutely. And I'm sure there are tons of metrics companies are tracking here. Faster response times, quicker payments, happier customers.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack. Though I'm curious, like, are there any companies pushing back on this whole AI email thing?
I'm sure there are some. And, we're still in the early stages, right? So companies are figuring out where GenAI makes the most sense and where it maybe doesn't.
Totally. It's like finding that sweet spot, right?
Yeah.
Where AI makes things better without like losing that human touch when it really matters, which is super interesting to think about, right?
It is. And I think that's the question companies are grappling with. How do you strike that balance? Because yeah, GenAI is powerful, but it doesn't have empathy. So as this technology keeps getting smarter, how do businesses use it ethically and effectively? I don't think there are any easy answers, but it's something we all need to be thinking about.
It's definitely a deep dive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Liz and Tom. Okay, so far we have looked at how BMC has implemented generative AI in digital workplace to make companies more productive in general. Specifically, we looked at the knowledge first use case, where you can not only search using keywords, but you can search human language, and you get not only links and documents you need to read through, but you can actually have GenAI look up the facts in the knowledge base and then generate an answer, step-by-step instructions or bulleted points or tables with information to help you out. And even if GenAI cannot give you the answer, there is always a human behind the scene. So you can raise a ticket, you can request a live agent session, and so on. Now, this use case is not talking so much about the employees, but people that are not employed in the company. That could be new hires, for example. It could be vendors, it could be partners, it could be consultants. And in this specific use case that we are going to demo now, it is about alumni, people that have left the company, either because they have a new job or they retire or whatever the situation is. So let's have a quick look at how that works in Digital Workplace, where you have the external portal, and that is people that can register with an email address and get an account, not people employed or part of the company directory normally. So here is the demo. As you can see now, I have the Alumni portal, and down here in the corner I have a floating icon, which is, when I click on it, is opening HelixGPT, and you'll be able to ask questions like, are there any alumni events? And you can see it's picking up from the US and from Sweden. So all that works. Now let's see how it looks on the mobile. So this is my iPhone, and you can see that the portal looks very nice here. The UI is responsive and it adapts to different layouts, and you can recognize the things we had on the web. And if I click on the floating icon, we have the bot here, and I can ask questions such as, are there any events in Sweden in August? As you can see, there is a scavenger hunt in August, and I can open up the knowledge article and see the details if I want to validate. Okay, Tom and Liz, what do you have to say about this demo? I'll hand it over to you directly.
Okay, yeah. Alumni services.
You've given us these fascinating excerpts on using GenAI to really streamline stuff. And I'm really curious to hear your take on it.
Yeah, so what's interesting here is, after you leave a company, that's when a ton of questions pop up.
Right.
Alumni need info, right?
Yeah.
Like about their pensions, or maybe they need to confirm employment dates for something else.
Yeah.
And HR departments are usually slammed just trying to keep up with all those requests on top of their normal workload. So,
Totally. Those lingering questions after you leave a company is the real pain. The excerpts mention this alumni counselor thing powered by GenAI. How would that even work?
So picture this. It's like a system that's this huge knowledge base, but also this easy to use chatbot thing combined. This alumni counselor, it's there 24/7. Alumni can get answers about vacation payouts, what pension plan they had, instantly.
Really?
No more, your call is very important to us. Please continue to hold.
I can get behind that. So no more digging through old emails or waiting for HR to call you back.
Exactly.
But what about the impact on the actual HR departments? What would that look like?
So this is where it gets really cool. When you automate all those basic questions, HR gets a bunch of time back. Think about it. Instead of constantly putting out fires, they can focus on the big stuff.
Okay.
Things like making employees happier or, figuring out better ways to find and train people.
So it's a win-win then. Alumni get what they need fast, and HR can focus on like the strategy stuff. Is that what the future of alumni relations looks like?
I think so, but it gets even better. Imagine a system that doesn't just answer your questions, but like anticipates what you might need. Say you need a contact in a certain field. The AI could connect you with someone from like the Alumni network who does that. Or maybe you're looking for career coaching. The AI points you to resources.
Wow.
That kind of personalized support is really powerful.
It's wild how AI can make something like alumni services, which has always been about connecting with people, even more human.
Right?
By like making time for those real interactions. It makes you wonder what other services could use this kind of tech.
Yeah, definitely something to think about.
Thanks a lot for your podcasts. It's exciting to hear your reflections over generative AI and how it can be used to make our customers or companies more productive, not just employees, but also people outside the company. Now I just want to talk a little bit about the future and what we call Employee Navigator. It is agentic AI, and we will call that the Employee Navigator because it is one of the agents in our fleet of agents we are working on. And I'll ask Tom and Liz again to comment on this.
Specifically, the future of the digital workplace.
Always a hot topic.
Right. And we're not just talking about fancy ergonomic chairs and standing desks. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how we work, thanks to, get this, Employee Navigator.
And it's more than just a buzzword.
Way more.
Yeah.
This isn't just another chatbot promising to, like, organize your inbox for you. We've done our research on this BMC HelixGPT Employee Navigator, and I think you'd be surprised. The future of work could be a whole lot smoother than we thought.
Definitely. And the key here is agentic generative AI. That's what's powering all of this.
Okay, agentic. Break it down for me. Sounds a little like, I don't know, a high-tech cleaning product or something, but I have a feeling it's more complicated than that.
It is. So think of your typical chatbot, right? You ask it a question, it gives you information. Helpful, but kind of passive. Employee Navigator. This is different. This is proactive. Think of it like this. Imagine having a super efficient assistant. One who not only answers your questions, but actually takes care of stuff for you.
So instead of just telling me where to find the form to request time off, it would actually fill it out for me.
Exactly. And it's not just forms. Say you're dealing with a tech issue. Instead of digging through those endless help documents, or even worse, waiting on hold.
The worst.
The absolute worst. Employee Navigator walks you through the solution. It might even be able to fix it directly, depending on what it is.
Okay, now that is a game changer for productivity.
Right. Imagine all those tiny frustrations that eat up your day, gone.
Right.
And it's not just about being reactive. Remember, we were talking about Employee Navigator being agentic? Okay, so let's say you need to arrange an access card for a vendor. They're coming to the office next week.
Okay, yeah, I can picture it. Been there, done that. Never as simple as it should be.
Never. But with Employee Navigator, you literally tell it, I need an access card for a vendor. They'll be here next Tuesday. And the AI takes it from there. Requests the card, notifies you where and when to pick it up, even gives you directions.
Okay, that is what I'm talking about. Seriously. That's the kind of stuff that eats up so much time and mental energy.
Yeah.
No more trying to track down the one person who knows how to do it.
Exactly.
Or deciphering those outdated instructions someone emailed you 6 months ago.
Nope. Gone. All handled.
That's huge.
And it gets even better. This AI, it's designed to learn your preferences. And it remembers them. So the more you use it, the more personalized and intuitive it gets.
So it's like having a real human assistant,
Yeah.
but one that can actually anticipate your needs.
Exactly. And it's constantly learning, adapting to your work style. And that's why this technology is so significant. It's not just about making things a little bit easier. It's about fundamentally changing how we work and how we interact with technology in the workplace, and how we can use technology to achieve a better, less frustrating, more productive flow.
Okay, it's time to summarize what we have covered today. We have gone through 5 different ways you can increase your company's productivity by offering many employee time savers. These time savers you get through HelixGPT and the generative AI capabilities we offer. So even a few minutes saved by each employee quickly sums up to a very valuable business case when you invest in HelixGPT. We were talking about how to use knowledge to make people more productive by asking questions in human language. You as an employee can get answers and instructions instead of getting links and have to read through links, find the documents you want to read, and then read the documents. This is done by HelixGPT. We do this by giving the generative AI access to your corporate data and ask it to find answers in your data, which is happening in real time, rather than like the large language models like ChatGPT, which has been pre-trained and doesn't really know anything after its cutoff date. We've also used that for your inbox. Let's say you have your inbox full of emails and your colleagues have the same questions that you have already answered maybe 10, 100 times, and you are expected to answer an email within 1 or 2 hours or maybe a day, and it easily fills up your inbox. That can be offloaded to HelixGPT as well. And if people send you emails, HelixGPT can then respond. If the end user is not happy and they tell you, it will create a ticket, so you can, instead of responding to emails, go to your queue and follow up and give customers the service they look for. And it's not just for employees, even partners, vendors, new hires, alumni can get the benefits of HelixGPT through the external portal and the ability to ask questions, get answers and instructions. And our investment in agentic AI is allowing us to offer you a tool that have data available to it, can find context for your question, plan out what needs to happen, and then execute on the plan. It's really amazing what we can do today with generative AI. I will ask Liz and Tom if they have any last takeaways before we end this meeting.
Get this. The Nobel Prize in Physics just went to the guys who basically invented the tech behind, generative AI.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
We're talking John J. Hopfield, Jeffrey E. Hinton, and their work on artificial neural networks.
It's really interesting, right? Because the Nobel Committee recognizing this work, it's significant. It tells us, I think, that the scientific community sees this as like a fundamental shift, not just, a passing tech trend.
Exactly. So the big question, at least for me, for you, maybe for everyone listening, is, are you ready to be, in or out, empowered or left behind? Let's dive in.
Well, and what's fascinating here is this work, it started decades ago. We're talking, this wasn't an overnight breakthrough, right? This was a slow burn that's now ignited, like a firestorm of change.
So it's not just about using the latest AI tool, but understanding, the forces shaping our world.
Right. And if these Nobel laureates are right, then we're just at the beginning of something massive.
What do you think this means for your work, your life, your future? That's something to ponder. Until next time, keep diving deep.
Many thanks to Liz and Tom for the podcasts we have been provided with today and the reflections. Yes, the question is really, are you ready to take on generative AI? Are you ready to start using HelixGPT? If you have Helix Virtual Agent licenses, You're entitled to use it, so there is no cost at all. Just get started. As you can see, I am really enthusiastic about this, and as a bonus, I have asked GenAI to create an employee navigator song and also a singer in a happy jazz style from the 1920s. Please enjoy.
Need help in your digital workplace, don't know where to turn. Employee navigators here to help. With HelixGPT knowledge you'll learn. GenAI is here to stay, making work easier every day. So ditch the search, embrace the new way. Employee navigator shows you the way.
And yes, you can fake it.
Need help in your digital workplace, don't know where to turn. Employee navigators here to help. With HelixGPT knowledge you'll learn. GenAI is here to stay, making work easier every day. So ditch the search, embrace the new way. Employee navigator shows you the way. GenAI is here to stay, making work easier every day. So ditch the search, embrace the new way. Employee navigator shows you the way. Employee navigator shows you the way.
Okay, thank you everybody. I'll hand it over to Des and Sam now.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for that, Kath. That was a lot of fun to listen to. Cool, Sam.
Yeah, so hopefully everyone's found that useful today, and thank you for filling in the poll. Obviously, Kath, I'll share that with you later. We've had quite a lot of responses to your questions. We do have 3 questions in the Q&A that I do want to get to before we wrap for today, but just a couple of reminders. We've got 2 sessions coming up, which will be our final ones of the year. So there is the session 6, which is Knowledge Curator, so one of Kath's colleagues. So we've talked about knowledge today, Eric Evlinger. Also, another Swedish person will be running that session with me and Des. That's in November. And then we have session 7, which is in December, and that will be with Innovation Suite. So hopefully this will be useful. We will be sharing out the slides with you, the recording, and we'll also share out any of the questions and the polling. So I'm going to now move over to the questions, and hopefully everyone is unmuted now. John had a question for you, Kath. Are the functionalities related to HelixGPT responding and processing incoming emails only for the lines of business and business workflows, i.e. IS applications, or is it available for ITSM applications? And John, I can see you're still here if you want to come off mute.
You summarized the question perfectly, so thank you.
Pleasure.
So yes, right now in the current version of Helix, it is only in business workflows. So you actually send the email to an email address and you get the response. It's the workflow behind it is in business workflows right now. We are planning and developing a similar functionality for ITSM. So if you want to go that route, but in reality, it doesn't really matter if it is in business workflows or if it is in ITSM. It's just the engine behind the scene.
Thank you.
Do you have both business workflows and ITSM, or do you only have ITSM? So that's why you asked the question.
We only have ITSM, hence why I asked the question.
Okay, so is this important for you? So we should prioritize it in ITSM?
We've been trying to, actually, we had a ticket open since January to talk about, because I think there was some kind of other functionality that was similar to this prior to HelixGPT that we haven't been able to get working with HKM. And so, yes, it's definitely been a priority for us. We get, I'll make up a number, but probably 50+% of our tickets come in via email. So having it, respond to the customer, and it's going to save us a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot easier architecture here than we had before. The old one was based on Watson, and you had to do a lot of things to get it working. I think now when we send the email, the text in the email to the large language model, and we ask the large language model to look up an answer and respond to it, it's easier to get that working well. We have seen that. So I think it's a good future.
Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kath. Okay, so we've got a question. Next one is, does this email only work with business workflows or also with smart IT ITSM?
Same question, essentially. I thought
Yeah.
there were
Yeah, I think
Alonso.
it's the same.
Yes,
It's kind of-
same question. Yes, it's same question.
Okay. Alonso, did you have any other questions? Because it was obviously very similar, but we asked in a different way.
No other questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Kevin had a question which was, does the email only work with business workflows or HelixGPT? Will this work with the ITSM email engine?
Same thing again.
Yeah, same,
Yeah.
same
Okay.
question as everybody else.
Seems like it's quite important, this one, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe we need to get an idea created and have everyone vote on it, Kath. I don't know what your view of how you want to capture all this, because I know you tend to
We're
write
gonna do
everything
it.
down.
We're gonna work on it, definitely.
Okay.
It's important, I think, for ITSM customers as well. We have many ITSM customers out there, so I think this needs to be an investment. It shouldn't be much of a change, to be honest, to make it work. But I bring it up with the Harshad and the team that is doing the ITSM side of the house. So I'll bring that back, no problem.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, it seems like we have multiple email engines because DWP is now going to an Innovation Studio platform in 230304. We've got the ITSM email. We've got business workflows. I think what I'd like to see is we get to a point where we're able to configure one email engine for all product lines, if that's possible, because we get different results based on which engine, and it's difficult to troubleshoot DWP because it's not in the AR system email message form, but then you got ITSM that is. I don't know how business workflows works, but it just seems like that could all be converged.
Did you check the webinar that my colleague Deepak ran last week? Because what we are doing in patch 4 is releasing a converged email notification engine for digital workplace, which is a first step on the road to what you ask for. It is using the same, the ITSM platform has the email engine, like you say, so we send things out through that same engine now. And when it comes to defining the templates that are going to be sent out, when they are sent out, and the content in those templates, it is actually based on the same platform engine as business workflows. So if you have already worked in configuring business workflows notification templates, you know how it works now, because it is the same engine behind the scene.
Yeah, I did attend that one, and the same question came up there, though, is why ITSM is not moving in that direction, and it's not on the roadmap. So
that is a business decision, I think. If the customers say we need to do that and it gives them benefits, I think we'll go there as well. This was the first combination of DWP and business workflows was driving it hard. DWP customers have had a pain because we couldn't change the templates. So that was a bigger priority right now. That's why we did this one first.
Okay.
So I think if you as customers really express that we need to do it across all the products and it will give you benefits, we should listen and do it. That's my view. That's how I work, and I think everybody else in the product management team.